Hey guys, how's it going? So, today's review is going to be on the Yoyofactory Shutter. From my perspective, the Yoyofactory Shutter is probably one of the most popular yo-yos circulating around the market today. It kind of debuted on the whole yo-yoing scene when Gentry won the 2013 US Nationals, and then also became pretty bloody big when he won the 2014 World Yo-Yo Contest with it. Ever since then, the Yoyofactory Shutter has become pretty much like a household yo. Everyone usually has one or everyone has tried one, so I thought, hey, you know what, let's make a review about it. So whether you're watching this and you just need some more information on the shutter because you're thinking of buying it, or you already have a shutter and you just want to see my opinion on it, keep watching because I'm about to answer those things shortly. But first, let's take a look at the specifications. Diameter, 56mm. Width, 44.40mm. Gap width, 4.75mm. Weight, 6.7 grams. Bearing size C, and it comes with just a normal Yoyofactory flat bearing. And response is CBC silicone slim pad 19mm. So the shutter weighs 67.8 grams, which is very much in the average for a yo-yo generally built in this generation. Some of the bimetals are around 64, but 67 grams is generally, you know, the average. The one thing I've noticed after playing with the shutter for some time is that its weight distribution feels very evenly distributed. And this gives the shutter a very all-rounder kind of feel. And this is basically apparent in Gentry's playstyle. If you ever watch a freestyle from Gentry Stein, he's got a lot of different kind of tricks. So he can do speed combos, he can do horizontal combos, he can do long, complicated tech combos, and it would make sense for the shutter to be able to handle all those combos with relative ease. So I wouldn't say that the shutter is essentially phenomenal at any of these styles, but it can play very competently at all of them. While the versatility of the shutter is nice, one thing I've noticed is that the shutter does lack a little bit of rim weight, in my opinion. So basically, just a minor, say, extra gram or so on the rim would make the yo-yo, I feel a lot more powerful and spin a whole lot longer. But generally, that's my only gripe about the shutter's weight. In terms of playability, I'd like to go back to a point I made before, and I would say that the shutter is a very, very versatile yo-yo. So its shape is really flared out, you know, it's really easy to catch. At the same time though, the edges are kind of rounded, so it kind of gives you that kind of organic feel with a really, really angular shape at the same time. So it kind of is in a middle ground for kind of all players. And the same thing, if I just make the point again about the weight, it's very evenly distributed, so it basically handles everything the same. Okay, the shutter will handle a horizontal combo the same way it handles a long tech combo, the way it handles a speed combo, okay? One criticism I have of the shutter is that it doesn't seem to handle speed tricks very efficiently, okay? Now, sure, with enough skill and concentration, you can pull off everything you particularly want to in terms of speed, right? Take a look at some of Gentry's tricks. He can go pretty fast when he wants to, right? But one thing I've found is that the shutter doesn't handle extreme tricks, the extremely stressful speedy tricks, as well as other yo-yos in my collection. Sure, if I put in a lot of concentration, I can, you know, eventually land them, but I wouldn't say the shutter is making my job any easier, just by how it's designed. Now, this isn't quite an interesting point. Depending on what version of the shutter you have, so as you can see here, I've got two aqua shutters, right? But they're both, if you look at them, they're both kind of bead blasted and matte, right? Now, if you have a bead blasted kind of shutter, and they come in a whole lot of colors, but if your shutter is bead blasted, the shutter is quite good at horizontal finger grinds, regardless of the laser engravings or not. So basically, I'm able to do some pretty solid horizontal finger grinds on the bead blasted shutters, but I've also had a shutter with a metallic finish that is now in a friend of mine's collection. But the thing about that was I was never able to horizontal finger grind with a metallic shutter. There's something about the finish that just doesn't allow you to do it as well, if at all. Now, the last thing I'm going to mention about the shutter is that its price is very, very affordable and very, very accommodating. So Everybody, you know, went up and applauded Gentry when he won the US Nationals with a $17 replay, right? Which is a very impressive feat in its own right. However, a lot less people applauded Gentry for winning Worlds with a $40 shutter. Now, in the world of competitive yo-yoing, $40 is a very cheap for a world-winning yo-yo. All you need to do is take a look at second and third place. So the year Gentry won, which is 2014, Takeshi Matsuura came second, right? And he used a palpitation, which is, I'm not sure of the specific price, but I would guess $250 around there. Right, now behind him was Iori Yamaki, right, and he uses a Draupnir, which is also around $200 to $250, right? Now, generally, for the price, the Shutter is a really solid yo-yo, and it can handle tricks that are, if you practice enough, capable of winning worlds. So I would say that the Shutter is a very accommodating yo-yo for the price. It's good for someone who wants to take their skill to the next level, and it's also not too expensive for, say, someone who's just trying to get into it. So, in summary, the Yoyofactory Shutter is a very special kind of yo-yo. It's a yo-yo that is placed in the beginner category price range. However, there's also proof all over the internet with about 1 million plus views that it can also be used to win the highest form of competitive yo-yoing. The Shutter's biggest strength is its versatility, which is great for competitive players because they can do a variety of tricks on the Shutter and not bump into any, you know, physical limitations. And it's also really useful for beginner players who want to learn a lot of different style tricks and not have their yo-yo basically pushed to the limits when they try and do new things. Either way, in my opinion, the Yoyofactory Shutter is a yo-yo every person should have in their collection. Because how often do you find a world-winning yo-yo for $40? So those are my thoughts on the Yoyofactory Shutter. Do you agree, disagree, did I forget to mention anything? Any comments and criticisms, post them down below, and I will see you guys next time.